To our guest speaker today. Sheriff Rick Wells was sworn into office in January 1 of 2017, won re-election this past year, and is now in his second term. He has over 30 years in law enforcement with the Florida Highway Patrol, Palmetto Police Department, and MSO. I'll just skip through the awards because I think internally at the office we voted him the best sheriff in Manatee County.
Congratulations, sir. Congratulations.
I second that.
All right, so do we have any pictures or not? Did you?
Oh, yeah, hang on. Okay, didn't know that was this time or not.
Yeah, that's this time.
Okay.
It's not to be embarrassing because these are current pictures. These,
What?
yeah. So what we're pulling up is, again, the sheriff dedicates a lot of time to the community. These pictures, if we get them up, are part of his volunteering on a Saturday morning to teach Boy Scouts and currently girls law enforcement principles. The sheriff's been doing this for at least 10 years now, and we really appreciate all he does for the community. At this time, I'll introduce our sheriff, Rick Wells.
All right, how I look, Matt? Look
You're
good?
looking gorgeous.
You do great.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you to all my Zoom audience. Appreciate y'all. Zoom is a new thing, right? So everything we do for the last year, I didn't know one darn thing about Zoom. And then all of a sudden, I thought I became an expert. So I want you to know the Zoom etiquette that you just read, we need to pass that to all 67 sheriffs. 'Cause let me tell you, we get on these Zoom calls and they think that their mic is muted, but it's not. And you can tell when they're at the house because they're yelling at their kids. You can hear every dog they have in the house. And they got so much going on, they can't hear you telling them to shut up and turn the mic off. So if you want to see a calamity of errors, just watch any Zoom call involving sheriffs and you will rethink your election. So COVID has definitely presented some challenge to all of us not only throughout the nation, but in law enforcement. Things have been different, as you can imagine. But the one thing I want to say about the men and women of the Manatee County Sheriff's Office, and I'll just say men and women of law enforcement throughout the nation, we are unable to change the way that we do things because of the pandemic. We can't just stop in the middle of a violent situation and we're about putting a mask on and gloves on and you can't social distance. You can't do any of the things that we are taught to do as civilians to try to stay safe. We are lucky most of the time that when we are trying to take down and handcuff a criminal, they already have a mask on, not because of COVID, but because they're trying to conceal their identity. So that does give us a little bit of help there because safety-wise, we will take any advantage that we can get. So I'm very proud of the men and women of the Sheriff's Office for continuing to do what we signed up to do, and that's protect and serve, and to hopefully make a difference in our community. We did have our challenges. We've had over 200 employees, civilians and certified, that contracted the virus here in the last year. We have spent over $312,000 on PPE equipment and other things needed to protect our employees, and we were able to get that funding back. Thankfully, Neil has been just huge with grants and other revenues out there available for us to get the equipment that we need. And really, Neil, he is the best comptroller at the Sheriff's Office. He's the only one, but he is the best. But Neil really, he had to change his whole job description as well. He became our go-to guy. We're just trying to find equipment. You know how hard it was just to find hand sanitizer and mask and everything, and we were out there. He went to 45 different flea markets and helped us out, and they were not quality masks, but hey, they did a good job. So it was, the biggest challenge that I had really was our jail. I had to make a decision very early on. I mean, how was I going to protect not only the deputies inside the jail, but the inmates? You get a spread inside that jail, and it's going to run like fire, and you're not going to be able to stop it. So very early on in March, I made the decision that we were going to have to set up a checkpoint in our sally port. And the sally port is the area where the deputies drive in and have the gates that go down. You're not inside the facility yet, but you're in a secured area. We set up our healthcare providers out there to screen. Do everything that we're doing here. You have to screen each and every inmate. You have to screen each and every deputy every time they come in. It's a tedious process, but it had to be done. We have 8 special cells inside of the Manatee County Jail that provide a different airflow. So when we do have a contaminated person coming inside the jail, we can put them in one of those special cells so they do not contaminate the rest of the population. And we've had a few. One thing about COVID, we can be doing the right thing, but man, I've got those deputies coming in and out every day, and they could be asymptomatic. They may not even know they have the virus. So we've had, the most we've had at any given time was 35 people, which is pretty remarkable. We have a daily count of over 1,000 inside the facility. So we've been very fortunate. So we would have to take that part of the population and move them to another area and try to keep them secluded and keep them out of our general population. So, I mean, right now, knock on wood, we've got 0 COVID cases inside the jail. We don't have any deputies inside the jail that are currently dealing with the COVID symptoms. So, but it's a daily struggle, and that has been the biggest heartburn and what keeps me up at night. Is just trying to make sure that those inmates are safe. I'm responsible for them. Regardless of what they are in there for, they are my responsibility. We gave all of them masks. If you want to wear a mask, they don't have to, but most of them do. And most of them understand the reality of what's going on out here. And they don't want to be inside of that facility and contract COVID either. So once again, I'm very proud of the way the men and women have done their job to keep the inmates safe. One of the biggest concerns that I had when I got elected 4 years ago were illegal guns on the streets. We have a lot of stolen guns that continue to show up in our communities, and to date, for the last 4 years, we have been able to recover over 1,700 stolen guns. And this is just hard work and trying to get those convicted felons out of our neighborhood, the ones that are not supposed to have a gun anyway, do. I don't know if you know this, you may not. A criminal doesn't have a 3-day cooling off period to buy a gun. It doesn't happen out here. If you want to talk about gun control, it doesn't work in the real world. Criminals are going to get guns. They steal guns, they sell guns to one another. That's how they do it. They don't go to Shoot Straight and buy one unless they have a fake ID. Okay, but they are out here. So that's been a very huge target population for us because they're out there committing acts of violence against each other. The drug trade, they're all using stolen guns or guns that they have purchased illegally, and they are committing acts of violence. So we work very closely with our partners with ATF. I have a deputy assigned to the ATF, Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms Task Force. I have one assigned to the FBI Task Force. So they are committed. So we got the feds in here with us, not only taking down convicted felons with firearms, but also with the illegal drug trade, with fentanyl in particular, trying to get that under control and out of our community. We do everything we possibly can to help juveniles. I mean, that's another area that we really focus on, trying to help juveniles that have committed crimes not have a criminal record. We have the civil citation program where we can write a civil citation to juveniles that have committed misdemeanor crimes. You have a list of crimes that can be committed where we can offer this to them. And for a long time, we were only able to offer them that civil citation one time. I have upped that to 2 chances now. They have 2 chances to commit a misdemeanor crime and still be offered the civil citation program. It just keeps that criminal record off of their name. I think that's very important as these kids move forward in life to make one or 2 bad mistakes, and then it's hard to get to college, it's hard to get jobs. I mean, it's a trickle-down effect, and we all know how difficult that can be on a young boy or girl that's made a mistake and paid for it. Now they just want to move on and do the best they can. We have started a new program, working very closely with the state attorney. Really don't have a name for it yet, but we're taking young men and women that we know have committed a felony. It's not a serious felony, but it's a felony, and we're trying, and they've got, they have an absolute disgrace of a family life. They have no mentors. They have no one helping them. They've made a mistake, but we know that they are sorry for it. We want to help them get past this point. We also want to keep that off their record. So the state attorney has been great to work with as we try to take them through this process of mentoring, also understanding your mistake and why it's important that you never do this again, and how important it is that you move on from this mistake. And we think it's going to be successful if you just get them past that point where they get back into society, and just putting those people around them that actually care about them and that want to help them through the process. A lot of these kids don't stand a chance. It doesn't matter what happens. There is no family life. There is no one that cares. There's no one doing homework with them. There's no one that's paying attention to anything that they do. They're out there by themselves, and they're just trying to make the best of a bad situation. So we'll continue to try to develop programs that's going to help these young men and women. I truly do believe that so many of them can move on from their mistakes and become productive, and we just got to give them that opportunity. Any questions on that? Thank you. We're about 531 sworn positions strong. We continue to work with the county commissioners every year to build on that number. As you know, we have 411,000 people in Manatee County now. I don't know how many of you have been here your whole life. I have been, and I can tell you when the interstate was, I was talking to, the interstate was just an idea. So a lot has changed in Manatee County, and the population continues to grow out east. So we have to keep up with everything east of I-75 and also north side. It's going north and it's going east as well. So county commissioners are continuing to work with us to try to add the deputies necessary to just take care of the volume of calls that we have every year. We had well over 350,000 calls for service last year. That's about 970, a little less than 970 calls for service every day. That's just hard for me to even fathom sometimes, knowing what it used to be like in the good old days. That's when you know you're getting old, is when everything you talk about was the good old days. The good old days are gone. It's a different good old day here. So we continue to try to keep up with the population growth. With COVID and everything else that we had going on, we still had a 3.4% decrease in crime last year. I'm very proud of that. My first 4 years, we had a 15.6 decrease in crime in Manatee County, and that really is just a testament to the men and women out there each and every day. I'm telling you, they never stop. They are moving from call to whatever we got going on all day. A lot of times they go through the drive-through at McDonald's and they grab a Happy Meal and they're on to the next call. So I'm just very proud of the work that they do. One of the biggest issues that we still have, and if you listen to me every year, you will hear me tell you that vehicle burglaries are still a problem. You remember me talking to y'all about that? It continues to be an issue. And people continue to leave their doors unlocked with their laptops and their guns and their wallets and all these personal belongings inside of their vehicle. And this is why we have a large quantity of stolen guns on the streets. Most of them are stolen from residential burglaries and vehicle burglaries. So if you could just pass the word on to your family members and to your neighbors and to anybody that will listen to you, it's important that we do a better job. This is just a crime of opportunity. So we can't do much about a criminal's desire or their ability to commit a crime, but we can limit the opportunity. We just got to be smart about making sure we lock our cars up every night, bring in those belongings and try to help out the cause. People still leave their keys in their car. I want y'all to know, we no longer live in Mayberry, PD. But they leave their cars in there like no one's going to go in there. So we have people stealing cars because it's easy to steal cars. You're not going to find an old-time car thief that can get into your car and pop the dashboard off and wire things like they used to. That's make-believe, that's CSI. That's not going to happen. Because they don't need to because the keys are in it. Just continue to, we can continue to get the word out, so if you would also help us out, that would be great. As you know, the Sheriff's Office is responsible for serving every warrant that a judge signs off on in Manatee County. So it doesn't matter if it comes from the Sheriff's Office or the Bradenton Police Department, Palmetto, the beaches, it doesn't matter. We have to serve those warrants. It's a dangerous job. These warrants deputies are out there very early in the morning, hoping they can catch these criminals before they wake up. We served over 5,000 arrest warrants last year. So, that's just something else that keeps us busy. But those deputies are good. They're very good at sneaking up on somebody that's not quite awake yet. But it's dangerous, and you're going to have to go inside. And when you go inside to someone's home, there's always a chance that bad things can happen. So I'm very proud of them as well. We have 10 canines I'm also proud of. Our canines are used for just a plethora of things every day. They caught over 225 people last year, tracks, bad guys hiding in buildings. We deployed them 1,000 times, missing children, missing people with mental disabilities. They are used a lot. And they're quite the asset. We're used for any situation where a room has to be swept for a bomb. I have 3 dogs that specialize in nothing but detecting a bomb, and we use them for McKechnie. We use them. They were out there at the Super Bowl just a couple of weeks ago. Go Bucks! If you're a Kansas City Chiefs fan, I'm sorry, you shouldn't be here. But they're used a lot. I want to talk to you about our crimes against children's unit. We still had well over 5,000 calls that we responded to last year. But I will tell you that number is probably a lot lower than you think it is, because I know that because these schools were locked down for even a short amount of time, kids were not going to school, and our teachers are first reporters, and they are really critical in identifying and alerting us when it comes to child abuse and child neglect. So, locking the schools down really had a huge effect on probably more than we'll ever know as far as kids that are being abused at home and being neglected at home, because those teachers, once again, they are just critical to alerting us, and they're paying attention, and they see a lot of things go on. It may not even be physical, maybe mentally. They're seeing things, and those children will talk to them. So, hopefully we will continue to work on maybe that type of closure never happening again. That's really been my biggest fear, is the fact that these kids were left unsupervised and without anyone really watching over them. So, traffic crashes continue to be an issue. The Florida Highway Patrol is really underfunded. They are not able to get the manpower that they need here in Manatee County. We are helping them on a regular basis. Sometimes people are having to wait 6, 7 hours for them to respond, so we pick up the slack. We're working between 175 to 200 crashes every month. I may not seem like a big deal to all of you when you hear that, but every time I pull a deputy out of a zone to work a crash, then that area is really left open, and we don't have the coverage in there that we really want to have, but we're trying to help them out as much as we can. I've talked to legislators and everyone that'll listen about trying to fund them properly and trying to get people here, and hopefully one day that will happen. I just want to say that we're going to continue to do what we always do. We're going to continue to serve the citizens no matter what the case is, no matter if we have a pandemic or not. The men and women really have stepped up, in my opinion, their game this year, and I'm proud of them, and I am open to take any questions that you may have.
You've already talked about the growth of the county and the issue with the Florida Highway Patrol. I know you have a traffic enforcement unit. Are you looking at trying to increase the size of that unit based on population and crashes?
The answer is yes. We have 2 positions right now that we will be filling hopefully in the very near future, and we really need about 10 more. We'll continue to do that.
Thank you.
Do you have any other questions?
Yes, ma'am.
So I used to work at First Step of Sarasota, and I was very on top of how substance abuse was affecting everybody. With COVID, the media is always covering COVID, but how have you seen the numbers of the fentanyl overdoses and the fentanyl use during COVID? Has it gone up, down?
Yes, ma'am. That's a great question. So the answer is how is the question is how has the pandemic really affected the fentanyl epidemic and heroin epidemic? We noticed an increase in overdoses last year, and I would tell you we probably would have had a significant increase in deaths related to overdoses, if not for Narcan. But the bottom line is that they are not getting the services that they would normally get because of the pandemic. They just can't get there, or these locations are closed because of the pandemic. So that affected our recovery pods at the jail too. I couldn't bring the volunteers into the facility like we love to do, and we have a very good recovery pod system where counselors and faith-based come in. It's been very positive in the lives of many. So the pandemic has hurt us tremendously, and as far as those that are addicted to drugs, because we can't help them. It's been devastating, to be honest with you. Hopefully we can get back soon. I opened up the recovery pod. We're trying to put all the safety precautions in place, but I got to get them back into the jail and get them helping.
On the national level, we're seeing a lot of anti-law enforcement sentiment. Are you seeing that on the local level, or do you feel that our community does support the sheriff's office and law enforcement?
Yeah, the question is, are we seeing sentiment across the nation as far as anti-law enforcement issues with some in our community? I'm not seeing that at all. We're very blessed here in Manatee County. I tell you that we work very hard reaching out to those in our community before there's any issues that have to be dealt with. And if you don't build that bond and you don't build that trust early on, it's too late once you have a major incident. And I think that all the agencies throughout the county have been able to do that. We've had strong support, and I'm very blessed to live in Manatee County, I'll tell you that.
Any other questions? Brett?
What's the future of your Citizens Academy?
We're still on standby until we can get these numbers down, Brett. That's killing us too. We got to get it back, but we can't in good faith do that right now.
Anybody else?
We love you, Ricky.
Yes.
Oh, thank you so much. Love y'all. Thank y'all.
As a Kiwanis tradition, we would like to give you this golden ruler to measure the future success of the sheriff's office and everything you do with the kids. I know your office, your administration especially, has a heart for kids.
Thank you so much. So Judge Heather, this is what we use for homeschooling.